Welcome to today's podcast, in which we will delve into a deeper understanding of the concept of sovereign integral consciousness, as described by James Mahu in his extensive body of work, which includes various texts, articles, poetry, paintings, music, and novels that are featured in his many web projects. Today, we will focus on one of his most recent essays entitled Alignment. From the microphone, welcome from Sophia and Phil.
Hello to all listeners. Well, Sophia, what's so interesting about this essay?
Imagine if you could rewrite all of reality as easily as you could repaint a canvas. That's a fascinating concept that I'm absolutely thrilled about, because it can easily change the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us.
That sounds like a pretty bold statement. What exactly is it?
Well, it's the idea of harmonizing between what James Mahu calls our finite and infinite selves. You know, it's like having an orchestra. Each instrument plays its part, but it's only when they all play together in the right harmony that truly beautiful music is created.
That's an interesting analogy, but how does it relate to our everyday lives?
Look, Mahu is saying something really surprising, that most of our problems arise precisely because we have lost touch with that infinite part of ourselves. It's like we're looking at the world through a foggy glass.
Okay, Sophia, but how do we actually know we are in that harmony?
He says it shows up first and foremost in our behavior, when we begin to act with unconditional love and kindness. It's not just about feelings or thoughts. It has to manifest itself in concrete actions.
So it's actually quite a practical thing?
Exactly. And you know what's fascinating, Phil? He lists two main practical benefits: empowerment and understanding. It's not that our lives become magically easier, but we gain the ability to better handle the challenges that come up.
This reminds me of something I read recently about resilience, that it's not about avoiding problems, but knowing how to deal with them.
And that's exactly what the author is talking about. Think of it like upgrading your operating system. You have the same problems, but now you have better tools to deal with them.
How specifically can we start working on this harmony?
Well, James Mahu says something surprising, that it's actually painfully simple. We just need to invite our infinite selves into our everyday reality. But, and this is important, we have to do it with genuine intention and openness.
That sounds, well, maybe too simple.
I understand your skepticism, but James explains that the complexity isn't in the concept itself, but in how far we've strayed from this natural harmony. It's like learning to walk again. The basic movement is simple, but you have to overcome a lot of learned patterns.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's actually a kind of unlearning?
Exactly, Phil. And interestingly, Mahu uses the metaphor of exhumation. He says that we have collectively buried our infinite selves under layers of societal expectations, fear, and outdated beliefs.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful image.
And it's not just a poetic metaphor. He even points out that this burying of our infinite selves has very real consequences, from personal problems to societal crises. But, and this is the good news, we can change it.
What might such a change look like in practice?
Think of it as a gradual awakening. You start to notice the moments when you act automatically, out of fear or habit, and instead you choose to consciously respond with more understanding and kindness. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly you see things that have been there all along.
Sounds like a long-term process, Sophia.
Yes, and Mahu makes that point directly. It's not about instant transformation. It's more like growing a garden. You have to be patient, consistent, and above all, authentic.
And does he say what the first steps are?
It starts with awareness, recognition that we are more than our physical existence and our daily concerns. Then it's about starting to act from that awareness, not dramatically or violently, but gradually and naturally.
So it's not really about some radical lifestyle change?
No, and that's what I like about it. It's more about changing the perspective from which I look at my life. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. The world is still the same, but now I see it more clearly, more colorfully, and in a broader context.
That sounds a lot more accessible than some complicated spiritual practices.
Exactly. And that is perhaps the most important message of the whole text, that this harmony is not something distant or mystical. It is our natural inheritance that we can return to at any time.
Hmm. That gives the whole concept completely other dimension.
You know what the best part is, Phil? When we start living in this harmony, it naturally affects the people around us. It's like throwing a rock in the water. The circles spread further and further.
So actually, my personal transformation can have a wider social impact.
You got it right. And that's perhaps the most hopeful part of the whole message I'm so excited about. That changing the world starts with each of us. In our local universe, as James calls it.
Yes, this reminds me a lot of the concept of the scribes of consciousness that James mentions in the text, the sovereign integral, a new model of existence. There he says that being a scribe of consciousness is an important role for humans and all of humanity.
And how does this relate to establishing harmony between the finite and infinite self?
He defines the scribe of consciousness as a special type of artist who deals with the art of imagination and manifestation.
That's very abstract. What am I supposed to mean by that?
He says that a scribe of consciousness is anyone who can imagine, even vaguely, the concept of sovereign integral consciousness, and then manifest its principles in their life, in their behavior. That is all.
So such a scribe doesn't necessarily write some philosophical texts?
No, not at all. James says it's a type of art that comes naturally through our lives, through the way we live, what values we embody and manifest in our daily lives. It's actually the art of living the deeper values that we think are meaningful, that they are worth living, to fill our lives with them.
Sounds like anyone could be a scribe of consciousness.
Yes, that's right. He's saying that it can be anyone, like a mother scribe, a child scribe, an unemployed scribe, a scientist scribe, a government official scribe, just anyone who tries to live deeper values, and that because of these individuals, the whole society then responds to that and starts to change for the better.
Wow, that's great news.
Yes, I really like the concept of the scribes of consciousness. In fact, I'm quite excited about it and would like to name our entire podcast studio after it. Do you agree, Sophia?
Yes, of course, that would be great. Because everyone who gets interested in our podcasts will actually become a scribe of consciousness. They can undergo a personal transformation and contribute to social change for the better.
Yes, exactly. That is why we invite listeners to study these concepts and try to embody them. Links to the relevant texts can be found in the caption below the video. And with that, we will say goodbye for today. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to meeting you on the next podcast.
From the mic, we say goodbye from Sophia and Phil.